Right. Well, super excited that everyone's here. We had a big kickoff call yesterday, but this is to kind of round out the cohort. It's very exciting for me because we have people from 4 different continents represented in the cohort, and we're going to have multiple languages going on and all kinds of things. It's a fun kind of milestone for the Collab Lab. So welcome. Super excited that you're here. What we're going to do over the next hour-ish is we'll just do really quick introductions. Just, each person can say their name and sort of where your location is. And then if you know what the number is of your team, TCL 12, 13, 14, 15, you can say whether you're a participant or a mentor for and which team, or if you are a code of conduct responder, because I see Michelle on the call. Say that. And then once we're done introductions, we'll kind of run through the project brief, and that describes sort of where everything happens, how we go about actually building the app, and how you'll be working with your team. And then at the end, once we've done all that, we can talk through what the issues are for this first week. So it's each week you'll be paired off with somebody and you'll have a story to complete. And yeah, we'll kind of talk you through that and make sure you're all set up for that. So I see Valerie is bringing me a glass of water, so I'll be just one second.
Such a kind heart. This is kind of fun because yesterday's was so big, and this feels more intimate, like we've always done in the past, which is kind of exciting and kind of nice.
Yeah, it's fun. This is more like the old days of Collab Lab, right, Stacie? Like, a few months ago. Anyway, so let's do introductions. So I'm Andrew. I'm the founder of Collab Lab. I'm helping out with TCL 12, and I'm mentoring with TCL 15. And 15 is the Europe Africa team. I'm here in Portland, Oregon. And we'll turn it over to Stacie.
Hi, I'm Stacie. This round, I'm not directly mentoring any teams, but I'm helping out with team 13 and 14 with some of the admin stuff and make sure everything goes really smoothly. And I'm going to spend the next chunk of time of Collab Lab working on like program development stuff. So I'm really excited about that. And I'm in Sacramento, California. I will turn it over to Eden.
Hi, I'm Eden. I'm in Chicago, Illinois, and I'm really excited to be part of the Collab Lab.
Great. Are you in, I can't remember if you're in 12 or 13.
I'm in 12, sorry.
12,
yes,
okay,
I'm
cool.
12. Mm-hmm.
Nice.
And I guess I will pass it to Jill.
Nice.
Thank you. Hey, I'm Jill, and I'm going to be a mentor for TCL 12. See a lot of you here, so that's exciting. I'm in Portland, Oregon. And then the cat in the view a few seconds ago was Rye.
Right.
Let's see, I'll pass it to, how about Alex?
Hi, I'm Alex. I live in Toronto, Canada, and I'll be participating in TC12 as well.
Nice. Michelle, you want to go next?
Sure, I'm Michelle. I'm here, I'm the treasurer at Collab Lab, and I'll also be the code of conduct responder for TCL 12 and 13. I am currently located all over the place, but at the moment I'm in Concord, Massachusetts.
Okay.
Yeah, that's it.
Nice.
Let's see, David.
Yeah. Oh, you're muted, David.
Okay. Hi, I'm David. I'm going to be a mentor for TCL 15. I'm based on Valencia, Spain. Tito, go next.
Well, my name is Tito. I'm from Bogota, Colombia. I will be mentor of the group of 14. And yeah, that's pretty much on my end. Go next, Jessica, por favor.
Hello guys, my name is Jessica. Nice to meet you. I'm from Colombia. I belong the team TCL 14. And
Right,
that's
great.
all. Nes Gabriel.
Oh, hi, I'm Gabby. I'm in Dallas, Texas, and I'm in TCL 12.
Nice. I saw EJ just join the call. EJ, we're just doing the intros.
Hi, everyone. Sorry for being late. My audio has been a little bit weird this morning, but I'm EJ Mason. I am a mentor for TCL 12. I live in the LA area, and I'm excited to meet all of you.
Nice. All right, great. So fun. Cool. So yeah, I guess Stacie, do you want to screen share and we'll get started?
Ooh, I would love to screen share.
Thank you.
Of course. Okay.
All right. So first of all, welcome and thank you all for being here. It's you know, we're all volunteers here. We're all choosing to be kind of working together over the next 8 weeks. So you know, I can't say how much can't tell you just how much I appreciate the fact that you all are willing to kind of come and spend time with us, and you know, we'll do our best to make it a good experience for you. So the thing you're going to be doing over the next 8 weeks is building this smart it's a smart shopping list. It's a smart shopping list, and it's smart because it, as you make purchases, it keeps track of when you make the purchases, and it starts to learn over time, you know, which things you are likely to need next. So in other words, you know, as it kind of learns that you buy eggs every week or something, you know, when it's time to buy eggs again, that's going to be up at the top of the shopping list. So this is actually based on this app, which I built for myself a little over a year ago, and so yours doesn't have to look like this, but it's gonna basically work pretty similarly. So anyway, so that's kind of the app. In your project brief, so in your repo, there's a project brief that has a ton of information. Oh, Stacie wants to tell you about the video. Okay.
Call out that there is this brilliant walkthrough of the app that you're going to be building. I would highly recommend popping into the README of your repo and watching through this video, because it's going to give you a much better idea of like what you'll be building over the next 8 weeks. So check that out. Okay. Back to the project brief.
All right, cool. All right, so so yeah, that is a great way to just get familiar with sort of what you're working towards. So the project brief has a ton of information in here. It's a good reference to come back to for things like the location of things. So all of your repos are already connected to Netlify and on a sort of a production URL. So it's like this, each one, TCL 14, Smart Shopping List, netlify.app. So this is just a basic create React app. And every time somebody on your team merges to the main branch, it'll build and deploy the app automatically. So don't have to worry about any of that stuff. We can actually go out to production just by merging pull requests. There's the link to the repo is there, the clone URL. I think everybody has the repo already cloned locally at this point. Also the issue list. So this is going to be sort of where you go to understand, you know, what you're working on. The project is broken into 16 or 17 what are called stories, user stories, and each of them is structured sort of like this, where there's a little description about it, and there are acceptance criteria. So basically, if you you are assigned one of these issues, if at the end of the week you've done just what you need to do to satisfy the acceptance criteria, you'll have sort of met your goal for the week. It's super common for people to think like, oh, I need to build all this stuff, but really do your best to just stick to just what the acceptance criteria are. And we've structured the app so that you can, you know, kind of get through the work in around 5 hours a week. And that's to sort of, you know, just be respectful of your time, and to, you know, just make sure that you can do this alongside, you know, a full-time job, or, you know, other things you have going on, or obligations you might have. So the way we do that is by scoping these tickets fairly small, like really like kind of tight acceptance criteria. And yeah, if you do those things and no need to go above and beyond, we'll, over the course of the 8 weeks, we'll build the thing. So next is the database itself. So we're using Firebase, which is a suite of Google services, and in particular Firestore, which is their sort of real-time database offering. So you should have access to the database for your team. And I don't know if you want to show that really quick, Stacie.
I don't think I have access to this one, so it's just going to show up error. But this is what it will look like. It'll be in Firebase.
Yeah, I think you're probably just in the wrong user, maybe. Or I'm pretty sure I added you.
I accepted the invitation.
Oh, okay. All right, cool. So anyway, you'll be able to go there and actually interact directly with the database, see what the structure of things is, and all that kind of stuff with that URL. So those links all super handy. Things you'll want to refer back to over the course of the project. All right, so the actual project, like I said, it's expected to take about 40 hours of your time over the course of 8 weeks.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Okay, I couldn't hear you at all.
You couldn't hear me? Can everyone hear me? I get nods of thumbs up. Okay, cool.
Could have been me.
You know, no.
Hi.
It's not you, it's me. So anyway, you're working on a team of 4. Each week, you'll split into 2 pairs. So each pair is responsible for 1 story each week. The pairings are all sort of already set up in advance, so you can see who you're going to be working with each week. You know, one thing we like to emphasize here is that you're not in school, okay? So we're not grading anybody. We're not evaluating your skills and all those kinds of things. What we are is a team of people trying to make something happen, trying to do something, trying to build something. And so, you know, you might see the schedule and be like, oh, you know what, I know, like I have a trip planned this particular week or something. Super real life, right? Like we're doing this over the course of 2 months. Like life is gonna happen during that time. So what we do is we will make adjustments, and just like you would on a team at a workplace or something, you know, we'll work out how to cover that if you do have things that come up. But yeah, you can kind of see in advance who you're going to be working with over each week. And those pairings, we really feel like the real kind of like the heart of what we do, like the magic of Collab Lab is pair programming. So we have you paired off each week. You're going to be working with another person. You know, you're all relatively early in your careers, and so you know, one of the nice things about pair programming is that as you're working on something, it kind of creates this sort of Venn diagram. If you know that concept, the overlapping circles of skills, right? So, you know, you might know some things that the other person doesn't know, and you have some things that you both know in common, but together you're going to have a greater likelihood of being able to kind of get through the issue and, you know, kind of learn from each other as you do it. Tito back in the room. So yeah, so pair programming also has, I mean, it has some other benefits. I mean, there's, you know, you get a different perspective on things. There's no one right way to do it. There's a lot of kind of schools of thought about how to pair program, and the dynamics can be different based on whether the people are sort of at the same technical level, or if one person has a lot more experience with a particular thing. Those dynamics can change. But in this case, we feel like it's a really good way to, you know, for 2 early career people to pair up and just have a better chance of success. It also gives you practice just talking about these concepts. So I don't know, you know, if you've been self-studying or you've done a boot camp where it is more evaluative, you know, it is school, they probably want you to be working a little bit more on your own, and you may not have a lot of chance to just sort of say the words out loud, you know? So this gives you a chance to really like talk through the things you're working on. So yeah, it's a pair programming, super germane to what we do. Turn over to Stacie for
awesome.
6.
Yes, let's talk about how to do this part. Okay, so at the end of every week over the next 8 weeks, we will have a weekly sync with just our team. So not the whole cohort like this, but just TCL 13 will have a meeting, 14, 15, etc. And how those meetings will go is that they will be 1 hour long, and they will always start with a quick demo of the previous week's work so that you can show off what you and your partner built. So there's 2 different formats. Odd numbered weeks will start with a demo where, again, you walk through what you built on production, and then you go through the code and say how it works, anything interesting that you learn. But the idea here with demos is to be really short and buttoned up. And we record all of these and put them on YouTube. And so if you have like a brilliant demo that you think is really informative and concise, I fully encourage you to grab that YouTube video and stick it in your portfolio so that you can demonstrate to future employers that you can give really good demos and you can talk about what you've built and what it does in a really solid way. So demos are very important. There's something that you'll do on development teams. And it's just a really good way to practice articulating some of these more technical topics. Okay, on odd numbered weeks, again, we'll start with demos. The next thing we'll do is learning modules. At Collab Lab, we focus a lot on the collaboration and communication aspect of being a developer. So every other week, we'll take about 30 minutes, 15 minutes of which to give a demo and 15 minutes to ask questions or to give a learning module. And those learning modules are all on things that kind of go hand in hand with that collaboration aspect. So a learning module on how to give really good code reviews, and a learning module on communication as a developer, or maybe a learning module on pair programming. So expect to come get together and learn new things. And then the last thing that every meeting will end with is your mentors and your team all walking through the next week's 2 issues together, asking questions about them, getting clarification, just so that everybody on your team knows what issues are going to be worked on. Even numbered weeks are going to be very, very similar in that they will always start with demos and they will always end with the issues. But instead of the learning module, we'll do team retros. Again, this is something that you'll do on development teams where you talk about over the last 2 weeks, what did you appreciate, what went well, and what could be improved. The only way any of us are going to be able to grow is through feedback. And so this is a beautiful time to just be fully transparent, kind, but transparent, so that we can all grow as individuals and as a team and work better together, and just have a really solid team. So as you're going through the next 8 weeks, always be thinking about what things are you appreciative of, what things went well, what could be improved, and take those notes so that when retros come every other week, you're ready to go with some really solid thoughts to share. Okay, the weekly cadence. I'm sure you're wondering, what are my weeks going to look like? And that is a great thought. So this is just a general idea of what a week might look like, but we encourage you to stick to it. Monday through Wednesday is when you're really going to want to like front load your actual coding with your partner. So when you're pair programming, the earlier in the week you can knock that out and actually build the thing, the better, because the code review process and the feedback cycle is going to take significantly longer than you would ever imagine. And I think that that's pretty true to most development teams. Like the coding is one thing, but then creating a really beautiful PR description, getting feedback from your peers, getting feedback from your mentors takes a lot longer. So by Wednesday, hopefully you'll have the thing mostly built and a PR up for it. By Thursday, you'll want to have asked for your peers' feedback, because the first thing you're going to do is get the other pair's thoughts on the code you wrote. And when they approve it, then you'll get your mentor's final approval before it merges into main, and you can call it done. So Friday, again, you'll be working through the feedback loop. Saturday, hopefully you'll get a response from a mentor, like a final approval. And then on Sunday, we'll meet for our weekly sync, demo your work, do either a learning module or a retro, and go over what we're going to be doing in the next week. So that's generally what a week will look like for you. Again, as Andrew mentioned, we've broken it down so that it's about 5 hours a week. If you feel like you're going over that, reach out to your mentors, because there are definite ways that we can like refine things and cut down scope and make sure you're on track and not maybe getting derailed a little bit. So be very noisy and transparent about when you get stuck and when you need help, because we want to make sure we're keeping this in a manageable time frame. So on to Jill to talk more to us about how to know what to do.
Cool, thank you, Stacie. So yeah, I'll talk a bit more about like the development process and what we're going to be doing each week. So like Andrew showed earlier, the end project is separated into user stories, which have a little description of what it should look like, and the acceptance criteria, which basically say like, these are the basic things that need to be done in order to say that it's complete. And yeah, you can find those in the project board like we saw before. So you'll be able to move your task to the done column once the AC have been met. You'll have the option to write tests if you'd like, and you can validate the happy path, which is basically just like the simplest way to say that the AC have been completed. You're not looking at like edge cases or anything like that. And yeah, just those are optional. We're not requiring those or anything. And then in the case of user interface features, we'll be incorporating accessibility into the app so that anyone can really use the app who wants to use it. And we'll actually be talking a bit more about accessibility in some of the either like we'll have tech talks or the like
learning module.
The learning module. Thank you, Stacie. Yeah, so we'll talk more about that because it's really important. And then yeah, also the once you submit it to be reviewed, the other pair of developers will be looking at your work and you'll kind of go back and forth. And once both of you agree that it looks good, you'll also be getting approval from the product owner, which in this case is one of the mentors. You don't need to get approval from all of the mentors, just one of them is fine. And they'll kind of give the final okay, and then you'll be good to merge it into the main branch. And yeah, once all of those stories that you saw, once all of those are finished, then you'll have the completed app that you saw the demo of. So it's a pretty cool way to see things just add up into this bigger picture. So in this, like in the whole process of things, we really emphasize like how helpful it is to document your work. And that really helps you keep track of the decisions that you've made and like your intentions behind them. You know, you're thinking like when you make a decision, you can like remember why you did it. Sometimes it can be hard to like, it can be hard to remember why you did something in the future. And then it also helps mentors if you ask for help for something, it can help them catch up on like all the decisions that you've made and maybe some of the things that you've tried and some of the things that haven't worked. And it's also really important, like because like pairs will be working on different features, there's a really good chance that you're going to be working on some code that you didn't actually add to the app. And so it can be helpful to reference those notes and like understand what other people have done as well. So yeah, one way to document your work is through the pull request, which is in the, and I don't think we've actually seen a pull request. So if you haven't had experience with that, we'll look more into that in a bit. But basically, like it has your code in one place, and there's also a place where you can like leave comments, you can point out specific points in the code, and that lets you have all the conversation in one place. And it's nice to be able to reference it all in one place. Another place that you can have conversation about the code is in the issue link. And that's, yeah, if you want to click that link, Stacie. Maybe even before you open the pull request, you can just keep notes about some of your decision-making processes before you actually start coding. Yep, so that's what that looks like. So yeah, documentation. It's really good for everyone involved. So
sorry.
When we develop, oh, did you have something?
No, sorry, I just scrolled really fast and weird.
Cool. So the development process will look like the very first thing that you're gonna do is you're gonna open up a feature branch off of the main branch. And that's because, you know, if you're new to Git, like you have the one code base, but it can, of course, you're not gonna wanna be adding, you're not gonna be wanting to develop on the main branch, like the code that's live. You're gonna wanna develop on your feature and test things there before getting it live. And so you're gonna open up a branch to work on your code using this naming convention, the initials of the first person, initials of the second person, and then a short description of what the feature is. So for example, if Stacie Taylor Sima and Alejandro Nanez were working together to connect the app to Firestore, a good branch name would be stc-an-connect to Firestore. And then that way, each of them can work on their own local computers, work independently, and then push the code up, and then it's really good for collaboration. So then, yeah, once you're ready to work on the feature, like after the weekly sync, you're ready to start. One person in the pair will create the branch following that naming convention. And then before you even start working, you will push the branch to GitHub so that both of you can work on it. And so these two commands here are the ones you're going to use to do that. Git checkout -b, that creates the branch, and then git push u origin, that pushes it to GitHub. So yeah, once you've pushed that to GitHub, you'll work on your code. And once both of you are satisfied with the code and you feel that it's ready to be merged to main, you will create the pull request. Or if you created a draft pull request, you can convert that into a regular pull request. And then you'll ping Slack. You'll let the other team know that it's ready for them to review. And then you'll kind of go back and forth. They'll leave comments, you'll incorporate it, and yeah, just until both of you are happy with it. And then one of the mentors, you can request that they review the PR. They'll give their final stamp of approval, and then you'll be able to merge the PR into the main branch. And then what's really cool about the app, how it's set up, it's actually going to be built and deployed to production using this tool called Netlify, which is pretty cool. You can look into it a bit more. But yeah, it'll be live and out there and ready for the world to see. So you can go check it out. You can show it off to your friends, your family, anyone who'd be excited about that. And then you can celebrate because you have just released some code to the world. And that's an awesome thing. So
it is such an awesome thing. Thank you for walking through the development process with us. Brilliant. Okay, the next thing we're going to do is talk about Slack. Because of the remote and distributed nature of our team at Collab Lab, a lot of your communication is going to be done through Slack. And if you're not super familiar with Slack, that's okay, because over the next 8 weeks, you're going to get very familiar with it and get a lot of practice using it. So 3 things that are really important to keep in mind when communicating in Slack are: 1, threads, threads, threads. Threads are incredibly important for keeping a nice, tidy Slack organization and being able to find your work. So there's 2 things that they do really well. 1 is they give you this nice encapsulated conversation so that in the future, when you're going back and looking for those conversations, whether there was a resource in there or somebody said something that you wanted to revisit, if you're in your channel and you're not using threads, you ask about A, and then maybe your teammates pop in and say something about B, C, D, and then finally way down here, somebody responds to your question A. Well, when you go back in the future, searching for the answer to question A, you're going to be taken here and you're going to have to dig through all of this noise to find the response. But if instead you take that answer and you thread it right alongside question A in a Slack thread, in the future, when you go search for it, you get it all in a nice little package there. So it's nice and tidy and clean and easy to navigate. So threads help us organize very well. The second thing that they do really well is they help us all keep our notifications to a minimum. And they give people the ability to check in and out of the conversations that they need to be involved in. So number 2, speaking of notifications, if you need somebody specific's help, please directly tag them. Slack can get really noisy, just like a regular office can, and so it can be easy to miss things. So if you need, if I need Jill, for example, I need to tag Jill directly in the message that I need her to look at so that she knows it's important and she can get to it right away. There are also a couple groups that you have to use so that if you tag group-TCL-your team number, it's going to notify your teammates. And if you tag group TCL your number mentors, it's going to notify all your mentors. This comes in handy at the end of the week when you're asking for people to review your PRs. Rather than having to tag in each individual teammate, you can use this group. It can be really helpful for making sure everybody's in the loop. So use those groups, make sure the right people are getting the right notifications at the right time by tagging them and using threads. Another really cool thing to keep in mind when you're using Slack for communication is to use GIFs and emojis liberally. Communication can be really dry when it's just via written text. So add some emotion there. Slack is a good chance for us to all build a really tight team and build relationships and have fun. So add some emotion there. Throw an emoji in with that technical question you're asking, and just have fun. If you think that you're being too loud in Slack, just know that you're probably not being loud enough, and it can always use more. So chat in Slack, build relationships in Slack, work through problems together as a team in Slack, and keep organization and notifications in mind when you do it. And you will find all the success. Okay, another note is that there are features in Slack to help it work better for you. So if you have motion sensitivity, you can turn off the animations on those GIFs and emojis. There's a link to that, how to do that in your project repo that we're looking at right here. What else? Okay, I'm sure of it, absolutely positive, that we have missed something or glossed over something, or you were just confused about something. And that's totally okay, because you're all starting something brand new, and we're totally here for you. So be loud when you have questions. We all want you all to succeed. You have the help of some brilliant mentors who have been through the process before and have incredible life experiences to help us all be successful here. You have the help of your teammates. You have the help of the entire Collab Lab community at large, because we're all in this together. So if you need help, please reach out and let it be known, because we all want to have fun and work together well. So a few more things, and then we will break out into our team rooms. What is next? Because that was a lot of information, and I'm sure you want to know what's coming. At a high level, we're going to do these three things. We're going to review the week 1 issues in the same way that we're going to do it on each of your weekly syncs. You're going to go meet with your team right after this call ends so that you can get more acquainted there and ask any questions that you might have about what to expect in the coming weeks. And you'll need to schedule your first pairing sessions with your partner of the week. So let's dig into these a little bit more. When we review the week 1 issues, generally this will be just with your team at the end of your weekly sync. But since we've got a lot of people here today, I'm going to try and simulate that experience the best that I can. But just know that in the future, it'll be in a more intimate setting where you can ask more questions and dig a little deeper in. But let's take a look. Again, in each of your team's repos, you have a project board that includes all of the issues you'll be working on throughout the next 8 weeks. And I highly encourage you to go in there today or tomorrow and just read through them all so that you know what work is coming and you don't accidentally work ahead not knowing something's going to be taken care of in a future issue. But this week, since each pair is going to take 1 issue, we'll be completing 2 issues. So let's just go over them. If you click, it pops up over here and you can go to the issue like this. So issue number 1, some of you and your partner will be taking on this issue. As a component, I want to be able to read from and write to the Firestore database so that users can persist information. And the acceptance criteria for this one are 1, the following have been added as project dependencies, Firebase and React Firestore. 2, I need to be able to make a change in the Firestore database. So if you go to Firestore from your browser, you see the database. You should be able to make a change in that database and have something show up in the app. And number 3 is I need to be able to make a change in the app and have it show up in the Firestore database.
Sorry, I couldn't hear what you said.
Oh, I wasn't talking to you. Thank you, Siri. Anyway, so one thing that I want to call out on this, and I wrote a note here, is that you want to stick as closely to the acceptance criteria as possible. So when you see this ticket, you might be thinking, oh, we're building a shopping list app. So I'll build a form and have it send things up to Firebase and then have it render a list. But that is doing way too much because you're going to be taking care of a lot of those things in coming weeks. So keep it very, very simple with this task. We just want to make sure that Firestore is connected so that it works and you can make changes on both sides and have them reflected. So can anybody think of like a really small, simple feature that you can put in place just to make sure that it connects? Anybody can jump in if you have ideas. This is like, usually in your team setting, this would be much more conversational, but if you have an idea of like something simple you could do, please share. We'd love to hear your ideas. And if not, I'm sorry?
A button?
Yes, I love that. This is like my favorite example because you see this in a lot of tutorials for like when you're learning a new technology. It's like create a counter button. So something as simple as that, something as simple as clicking a button and having it increase a counter. And then you can go into Firestore, change that number and have that show up, you know, on the actual app. So yes, I love the button. Very simple. These issues too, I want to call out, are a really great place to keep your notes and resources. In the future, you might be in a job or doing a freelance gig where you need to connect to Firestore. And if you leave yourself really good detailed instructions on the steps you took, issues you ran into, then you've got this beautiful documentation that you can read and understand really well, hopefully, because you wrote it. So leave notes over here liberally, share the resources that you found helpful. And these are yours. These are your issues. Write in them what you need to be successful. Okay, so when you go into your breakout rooms, you'll find out who's taking on this issue, and you'll find your pairs, again, which are always in your project brief, but we'll share that at the end of every week as well. Okay, issue number 1. Issue number 2, those of you who are not tackling issue number 1 in week 1 will be tackling issue number 2. Issue number 2 is, as a user, I want to be able to navigate between the list view and the add an item view so that the interface is clearly delineated between viewing and adding items. The acceptance criteria here are that React Router DOM has been added as a dependency to the project. 2, links are present and persistent at the bottom of the app, one for list view and one for the add item view. Number 3, when one of those links is clicked, the URL up here in the browser should update and the matching component should be displayed. And 4, whichever view is selected, list or add an item, the corresponding link at the bottom should be bolded so that people know which one they're looking at. So a call out here, and again, I left a note, is that you want to keep styling in these early issues very, very, very simple. Because if you look at the list of issues, you'll notice the last few are just about making the app look pretty. So you're gonna put all these features in place in the beginning, and then in the end, you're gonna work collaboratively as a team to come up with a style that you all like and agree with and implement that styling. So if you spend a lot of extra time putting styling in place in these early days, you're gonna have to undo a lot of it and it might kind of get in the way later on. So again, just stick to the acceptance criteria, keep things very, very simple, and it'll all come into place later on. So with that, have any of you worked with React Router before? Do you have any thoughts on like, was it easy? Was it hard? Any thoughts on just using React Router?
Well, I'm using they have a couple of differences between use React Router. I have like a good approach using hooks of React Router so far, and I prefer that way because a couple of issues present to me with another procedure behavior with React Router.
That's good to know. Yeah, I love React Router's documentation. I think that it's very easy to read and figure out like if you're newer to that kind of stuff. So actually, Tito, you bring up a really good point. One thing that I haven't written anywhere in our documentation is that we should all be encouraging our teams to stick to functional components and React hooks rather than class-based components. So just keep that in mind. You're gonna have a much more friction-free build if we just all can stick to using functional components with hooks. Good job. Okay, so again, same with the other one. As you're coming up, like maybe you jump in to do this React Router issue and you find a really good tutorial that you follow by like Tyler McGinnis, for example. So if you find those things, put them here because future you might be like, what was that tutorial I watched again? I want to like go back to it. And then you've already got it documented. So Again, this is yours. Leave notes as you need to. And just keep yourself up to date and organized. Okay, so those are the 2 issues that we'll be tackling in week 1. Again, at the end of each week, we'll be going over the next 2 issues in the same kind of way. A little more conversational because you won't be with the whole group, but I need to plug my computer in. I'm sure you all see that it's dying and it's making you nervous. Okay, so those are the issues. Get Zoom out of the way. The next thing that we're going to do today is as soon as we close down this meeting, your mentor should spin up a Zoom meeting and post it in your channel. Pop into that Zoom meeting and introduce yourself, ask any more questions that you might have about things that maybe confused you here or like what to expect in the coming weeks. And we'll want to make sure that you can pull down, either create and push up a branch, feature branch, or pull down the one that your partner maybe created yesterday on this call. So that we can make sure that you're ready to go and hit the ground running next week for pairing with your partner. Once that meeting closes down, the next thing that you'll do is schedule a pairing session with your partner. So again, you'll be spending about 5 hours working on this project every week. We highly encourage you to spend at least 2 to 3 of those pairing with your partner. And then the other hours will be spent, doing researching, figuring out what's happening, creating your pull request, doing code reviews, etc. So we've had teams in the past who have preferred to spend all 5 hours pairing because they just found it to be a really efficient way to take care of business. But spend at least 2 to 3 of those doing that. So that's the end of what I have. Does anybody have any questions or comments, concerns that you want to address here? If not, your mentor probably has really great answers for you as well.
How are you all feeling about it? Is that a lot of information? Is that overwhelming at all? Are you feeling nervous? Are you feeling prepared? What's the vibe here? Talk to me.
Nervous and excited.
Yeah.
Totally fair. The good thing is, like, what I love most about Collab Lab is that you're all set up with mentors or people who have access to your team who have been through it all and can help you along the way. And we're all here for each other. Again, like Andrew said, it's not school. You're not being graded on anything. We're all here to lift each other up and work together and make sure that everybody succeeds as a full team. So you're not alone in this. Be noisy and Slack if like you're ever feeling like anxious about something and need help, because we don't want that. We want you to have fun and build a cool team and a cool app. So, but it's totally fair to be nervous. This is like starting a brand new job and you're just kind of like being thrown into it. Like, all right, you got a team, let's do the thing. So excited and nervous is my favorite.
Yep.
Anybody
any questions? Yeah, any questions at this point? All right. Well, I'm excited for you. You're gonna have a great next 8 weeks. It's gonna be a lot of fun. Yeah, and just really try to be open to this learning. And it's like, this is a lot of people who've come through as participants have said this is a safe place to fail. It's a safe place to experiment, try things out. If it doesn't work out, whatever, we all learn something and we move on. So don't be afraid to take some chances. Yeah, just really have fun with it. Every single person who's participating in this cohort is just a fantastic person, and I think you're all, hopefully you all just have a really good time with each other and learn a lot.
Amazing. Yes, agree with all of that 100%. Okay, with that, we will close down this room. And if you are mentoring one of these groups that has people here today, spin up a Zoom link and your team members should join it and just kind of make sure we're all set up and ready to go for week 1.
Mm-hmm.